The future of humanity, transhumanism. What if humans could take charge of their own evolution, enhancing both mind and body beyond the limits set by nature? This is the essence of transhumanism, a movement that aims to harness technology to surpass the biological constraints of human existence and redefine what it means to be human. This is no longer mere science fiction. Transhumanism is an emerging interdisciplinary field, blending philosophy, ethics, and cutting-edge science to envision a future where humans are free from aging, disease, and even death itself, taking evolution into our own hands. At the heart of transhumanism is a fundamental idea. Humans are not the ultimate stage of evolution. For centuries, natural selection has driven human adaptation, but transhumanists argue that we now have the ability to direct our own development. Advances in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and neuroscience are opening possibilities to radically alter how we live, think, and interact with the world around us. Defeating aging and disease. A primary goal of transhumanism is to overcome the physical frailties of the human body. Take aging, for example. While it has long been considered an inevitable part of life, transhumanists see it as a scientific challenge to be solved. Researchers are already investigating ways to slow, halt, or even reverse aging through genetic editing, cellular repair, and therapies that target the root causes of biological decline. The once distant dream of extending human life, perhaps indefinitely, is now within the realm of possibility. Similarly, disease is another frontier that transhumanists seek to conquer. Although modern medicine has made remarkable progress in treating illnesses, transhumanism envisions a world where conditions such as cancer, Alzheimer's, and heart disease are entirely eradicated. Gene editing tools like CRISPR are already being employed to correct genetic defects and boost immunity, while breakthroughs in prosthetics and bioengineering are enabling the creation of durable, efficient replacements for damaged organs and tissues. Expanding human intelligence. Transhumanism extends beyond the physical body. It also seeks to enhance cognitive abilities. One of the most exciting areas of research involves brain-computer interfaces, which would allow direct communication between the human mind and machines. This technology could potentially boost memory, improve problem-solving abilities, and unlock new forms of creativity and expression. Imagine a world where knowledge isn't accessed through screens or books, but is directly integrated into the brain, allowing instant learning and real-time information processing. The ethical dilemmas of enhancement. At its core, transhumanism is a philosophy of human improvement, but it raises profound ethical dilemmas. One pressing question is, who will have access to these technologies? Will these advancements be available to everyone, or will they create a divide between the enhanced and the unenhanced? Critics worry that enhancements will become privileges for the wealthy, deepening societal inequalities and establishing a class system based on biological advantages. Another ethical concern is personal identity. As humans incorporate more technology into their bodies and minds, where do we draw the line between human and machine? If a person replaces enough of their biological components with artificial enhancements, are they still the same individual? Transhumanists argue that identity is not defined by biology, but rather by consciousness and experience. However, this view challenges traditional ideas about personhood and forces us to reconsider what it truly means to be human. The critics of transhumanism. The transhumanist movement is not without its skeptics. Some argue that the pursuit of perfection overlooks the unintended consequences of altering the complex biological systems that sustain human life. Others fear that transhumanism's obsession with enhancement distracts from urgent global issues like poverty, climate change, and political instability. Transhumanists, however, counter these concerns by asserting that their vision is not about escaping these problems, but about equipping humanity with better tools to solve them more effectively. The most controversial idea, transcending death. One of the most controversial aspects of transhumanism is the potential to overcome death entirely, a particularly radical concept, known as mind uploading, suggests that humans could achieve a form of immortality by transferring their thoughts, memories, and personalities into digital consciousness. While still highly speculative, this raises profound philosophical and scientific questions. If your mind can be copied and uploaded, does that digital copy truly represent you? Or is it merely a replica? And what happens to the original version of you? Transhumanism and the environment. Transhumanism also has significant environmental implications. Some proponents argue that enhancing human efficiency, for example, reducing the need for food or energy consumption, could help alleviate the strain on Earth's natural resources. However, others warn of the risks of unregulated technological advancement, where rapid and unchecked development could lead to unforeseen consequences for ecosystems, biodiversity, and the planet's delicate balance. Life as a cosmic coincidence. Existence was neither orchestrated nor preordained, nor was it an inevitability. It emerged from a cosmic coincidence, a remarkable sequence of occurrences within an impartial universe that simply fell into place in just the right way. From the birth of the earliest atoms to the rise of consciousness, every stage of life's progression has been shaped by randomness and extreme improbability. The real question is, how does this understanding reshape our perception of ourselves, our purpose, and the essence of existence itself? To grasp life as a cosmic coincidence, we must explore its origins. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang initiated the universe. From an unfathomably minuscule and scorching hot singularity, space, time, and matter began to expand. In these initial moments, disorder dominated, particles collided, energy moved freely, and gradually, atoms materialized. Eventually, gravity drew these atoms together, forming stars and galaxies. This entire process lacked direction or intent. It was purely governed by the fundamental laws of physics and the unseen forces of nature. Amidst the universe's swirling chaos, one particular star, an unremarkable one in an equally unremarkable galaxy, came into existence around 4.6 billion years ago. Around this star, remnants from its formation clumped together, forming planets. Among them, Earth, a world where an exceptional combination of conditions aligned: a stable orbit, a shielding atmosphere, and temperatures conducive to liquid water. Yet again, this was not the result of any deliberate design, but a fortunate confluence of physical laws, a cosmic lottery that Earth happened to win. Life originated in the planet's oceans, likely as simple organic compounds interacted under specific conditions. Over time, these molecules led to self-replicating structures, the first primitive life forms. From that point forward, evolution took over, an inherently random process. Mutations occurred unpredictably, and only those that offered survival benefits persisted. Over billions of years, this ongoing process produced the astonishing variety of life we witness today, including us, conscious beings capable of pondering our own existence. However, there's a catch. None of this was necessary. Had the Big Bang played out slightly differently, had Earth's position varied just a bit, or had a single crucial mutation in our evolutionary past never taken place, we would not exist. The circumstances that permitted life, especially intelligent life, are so staggeringly improbable that they might seem almost miraculous. Yet there is no evidence of any guiding force or predetermined intention. Instead, our existence stems from natural phenomena and countless chance events. This realization can be both humbling and unsettling. On one hand, it highlights how extraordinary our existence truly is. The likelihood of life arising, let alone intelligent beings capable of self-reflection, is astronomically low. On the other hand, it suggests that we are not the focal point of the universe's story. The cosmos existed for billions of years before us and will endure for billions more after we are gone. Our individual lives, struggles, and even civilizations are mere fleeting moments within the grander scope of reality. For some, this perspective provokes existential questions. If life is an accident, does that render it meaningless? If the universe is indifferent to us, does that make our actions futile? These are deeply personal inquiries, and different philosophies offer varied responses. Existentialist thinkers, for instance, see the absence of inherent meaning not as a void but as an opportunity. They argue that meaning is not something bestowed upon us, but something we create for ourselves. The lack of a predetermined purpose liberates us to define our own. Scientists, too, find wonder in life's accidental nature. Rather than diminishing its significance, randomness accentuates how extraordinary it is. Carl Sagan, for example, famously referred to humans as star stuff, emphasizing that the elements comprising our bodies were forged in the cores of dying stars. For Sagan, this cosmic connection was a source of awe and humility, a reminder that while we may be small, we are inextricably linked to the vast universe that brought us into being. Viewing life as a cosmic coincidence also challenges us to reconsider our relationship with other living organisms. If we are the outcome of chance, so is every other life form, from the tiniest bacteria to the largest whales. This perspective fosters a sense of kinship with all life, reinforcing the idea that we are not separate from nature, but an ephemeral extension of the same cosmic forces that shape the galaxies and stars. At the same time, this view compels us to acknowledge our responsibility. Life on Earth is fragile, and its survival depends on the choices we make as a species. Recognizing how rare and valuable life is can inspire us to safeguard it, not because of any grand purpose, but because we recognize its inherent worth. Ultimately, accepting life as a cosmic coincidence invites us to embrace uncertainty. It urges us to abandon the notion that the universe owes us explanations or assurances. Instead, it dares us to seek beauty and significance within the randomness of existence. Our lives may not have been scripted, but they belong to us alone. And in a universe that remains indifferent to our presence, the simple act of living, of caring, of wondering becomes an astonishing and profound expression. Existential nihilism. Nihilism asserts that life lacks any fundamental purpose. The universe is indifferent to our existence, and everything we pursue, whether success, love, or knowledge, will ultimately fade into nothingness. This harsh truth lies at the core of existential nihilism, a philosophy that dismantles comforting illusions and challenges us to confront reality as it is. For many, this understanding feels like gazing into an abyss, where notions of meaning and significance disintegrate under the weight of cosmic indifference. The rise of existential nihilism was largely shaped by 19th century philosophers such as Friedrich Nietzsche, Søren Kierkegaard, and Fyodor Dostoevsky. Nietzsche, in particular, viewed the decline of long-standing religious and moral frameworks as a pivotal moment in human history. With the death of God, society lost the overarching structure that had provided coherence and purpose for generations. Without divine order or supreme authority, Nietzsche argued, humanity was left to navigate a vast, empty universe without inherent meaning or direction. This absence of intrinsic significance extends beyond grand philosophical questions. It permeates every aspect of daily existence. The work we engage in, the bonds we form, and the ambitions we chase. None hold objective value beyond what we assign to them. To the existential nihilist, this perspective is not about pessimism or hopelessness. Rather, it is a recognition of reality. The universe operates through impersonal laws, and any meaning we attribute to life is merely a human invention. Jean-Paul Sartre, a philosopher often associated with existentialist and nihilistic thought, offered a distinct viewpoint on this void. He maintained that the lack of predefined purpose in life is not a dilemma to be resolved, but a condition to be acknowledged. Sartre argued that human beings are condemned to be free, meaning that in the absence of any predetermined destiny, we bear full responsibility for shaping our own values and purposes. This freedom, while exhilarating, is also profoundly unsettling, as it places the weight of defining our existence entirely on our own shoulders without external guidance. For many, existential nihilism evokes a profound sense of despair. If life has no absolute meaning, why engage with anything at all? This question has troubled humanity for centuries, leading to what is commonly referred to as an existential crisis, a deep confrontation with the apparent emptiness of life. However, not everyone who wrestles with nihilism succumbs to hopelessness. Some find an unusual sense of liberation in acknowledging the absence of inherent purpose. By discarding imposed meanings, they feel empowered to live authentically, free from the constraints of societal norms or the pressure to conform to arbitrary expectations. Yet, this freedom brings its own challenges. Without a universal moral structure, how do we determine what is right or wrong, worthwhile or meaningless? Nihilism does not provide clear-cut answers. It does not prescribe a way to live or dictate what we should value. Instead, it compels us to confront our own role in constructing meaning. For some, this realization fosters a deeper appreciation for life's fleeting experiences. A sunset, a moment of laughter, a quiet walk, precisely because they are temporary and untethered to any cosmic significance. Critics of existential nihilism often dismiss it as excessively bleak, even destructive. They argue that a worldview devoid of objective meaning could lead to apathy, self-interest, or moral disarray. Yet, many thinkers and artists have used nihilism as a foundation for profound creativity and philosophical insight. Fyodor Dostoevsky's novel The Brothers Karamazov explores the ethical consequences of a world without divine oversight. questioning whether morality can persist in the absence of religious belief. Albert Camus, though not strictly a nihilist, engaged with similar themes in his concept of the absurd, the conflict between humanity's desire for meaning and the universe's silence. Camus famously posed the question of whether life is worth living in a meaningless world. His response was not to reject life, but to embrace its contradictions. In works like The Myth of Sisyphus, he suggested that we must picture Sisyphus, doomed to push a boulder uphill for eternity, as content. The act of living, of continuing despite the lack of ultimate purpose, becomes a defiant rebellion against the void. Existential nihilism does not provide comfort or easy resolutions. It does not promise a brighter destiny or a hidden truth waiting to be uncovered. Instead, it removes illusions and forces us to face existence in its rawest form, compelling us to decide what to do with it. For some, this confrontation is paralyzing. For others, it is a call to create, to act, and to live fully despite life's impermanence. In the end, existential nihilism presents a paradox. By rejecting inherent meaning, it highlights the extraordinary power we hold to shape our own existence. The absence of cosmic purpose does not erase the significance of our lives. Rather, it shifts the focus to the present moment, the choices we make, the connections we build. It is both a challenge and an opportunity, a reminder that while the universe may be indifferent, our lives remain ours to define. The dilemma of suffering. Suffering. Why does it exist? If we inhabit a world capable of producing beauty, happiness, and love, why is it also filled with agony, loss, and cruelty? This question, known as the dilemma of suffering, has troubled humanity for ages. It challenges our perceptions of reality, ethics, and even the nature of the universe itself. At its heart, the dilemma of suffering is not only about why pain occurs, but also about what it signifies and how we should respond to it. Suffering manifests in countless ways, from the physical torment of injury to the emotional distress of heartbreak or grief. It is an unavoidable part of human existence, woven into the fabric of our reality. What makes suffering especially baffling is its inescapability. No one is immune, regardless of status, wealth, or power. Every conscious being experiences some form of suffering. This universal reality prompts deep questions. Is suffering essential? Is it arbitrary? Or does it serve a greater purpose? Thinkers and philosophers have addressed the dilemma of suffering from different perspectives. For those who believe in a higher power, suffering presents a theological paradox. If a divine being is both omnipotent and benevolent, why is suffering permitted to exist? This inquiry, often referred to as the problem of evil, has fueled debates for centuries. Some propose that suffering is a trial of faith or a means of spiritual development. Others suggest it is a byproduct of human free will, an inevitable consequence of our ability to make choices. Yet, these explanations often feel insufficient, especially when confronted with the overwhelming scale of suffering, natural disasters, illness, and senseless tragedies that seem to strike without reason. Secular viewpoints on suffering frequently explore its biological and evolutionary functions. Pain, for instance, plays a crucial role in alerting living beings to danger. Without the capacity to experience pain, an individual might fail to pull their hand away from a fire or recognize the onset of illness. Emotional suffering also has evolutionary roots. Fear helps protect us from threats, while grief allows us to process loss and adapt. From this perspective, suffering is neither a cosmic punishment nor a moral failing, but rather a fundamental aspect of survival. However, understanding why suffering exists does not necessarily make it any easier to endure. The question remains, why must life be built upon such a fragile foundation? Existentialist philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Jean-Paul Sartre viewed suffering as an unavoidable element of human life, one that forces us to seek meaning in an indifferent universe. Nietzsche famously stated, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering." To him, suffering was not something to be evaded, but something to be confronted and transformed into strength. It was a trial through which individuals forge resilience and purpose. Sartre, by contrast, believed suffering arose from human freedom itself, our ability to dream, to hope, and to make choices inevitably exposes us to disappointment and despair. In this perspective, suffering is not an anomaly, but an intrinsic part of what it means to be human, the cost of a rich and meaningful existence. Another approach to understanding suffering comes from Buddhist philosophy, which places it at the center of its teachings. The Buddha identified suffering, or dukkha, as the first of the Four Noble Truths. According to Buddhism, suffering emerges from desire and attachment, our longing for pleasure, stability, and control. These cravings are at odds with the impermanent, ever-changing nature of existence, resulting in frustration and distress. The Buddhist path seeks to diminish suffering through mindfulness, ethical behavior, and wisdom. While it does not eradicate all pain, it provides methods for understanding and managing it, offering a path to inner peace. Modern psychology also provides insights into the dilemma of suffering, examining how the mind perceives and amplifies pain. Research suggests that much of our suffering stems not from external events themselves, but from the narratives we construct around them. For instance, losing a job is undoubtedly difficult, but the distress is often intensified by thoughts like, "I am a failure," or "I will never succeed." Cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness techniques aim to interrupt these harmful thought patterns, helping individuals reinterpret their experiences and lessen the emotional burden of suffering. In recent times, the dilemma of suffering has evolved with advancements in artificial intelligence and transhumanism. Some theorists propose that suffering may one day be eradicated through technological means, whether by altering the human brain or designing digital environments devoid of pain. While this vision presents profound ethical and philosophical questions, it also challenges the assumption that suffering is an inevitable aspect of life. If suffering could be eliminated, should it be? Or does it serve an irreplaceable role in shaping human existence? Ultimately, the dilemma of suffering is not merely an intellectual puzzle, but a deeply personal inquiry. Each individual faces suffering in their own life, struggling to understand its significance and consequences. Some find solace in religion or philosophy, others in the support of friends and family, or in the pursuit of justice and change. What unites us is the shared experience of wrestling with pain, seeking meaning in adversity, and holding on to hope for something better. Suffering is a paradox, both universal and deeply personal, both necessary and unbearable. It exposes the fragility of life while also highlighting its resilience. Though we may never fully resolve the dilemma of suffering, the ways in which we confront it define who we are and how we live. Perhaps suffering's greatest lesson is its power to connect us, to remind us of our common humanity, and to inspire compassion, courage, and an unyielding will to endure.